Welcome back to Learn Astrology with Mary. This is fourth in a series about astrology and pain, and we're specifically focusing on Saturn, but in this particular lesson I'm also going to mention Chiron. Not everybody suffers under that, but this particular person might have. So we have our volunteers chart here. Sun sign Taurus, Gemini ascendant, Venus on the ascendant, and Moon in Aquarius. And before we even start, we've got a Sun and Moon square. I have found people that have Sun and Moon square do tend to suffer more with autoimmune disorders, because it's almost as if the emotions, which is the Moon, and the Sun, which is the self and the ego, are definitely at odds with each other astrologically, which can produce not a good comprehension on their own feelings, and so therefore if your feelings aren't resolved, that can produce some sort of autoimmune problem. And this particular person tells us their story. So here we go. They were born in May in 19 in Rintelm in West Germany. So when did the pain start? So it started December 2014, but was in ill health due to trauma for numerous years. When did the trauma start? 10 years childhood abuse, remember, from the age of 4. So that would be 1971. Escaped domestic violence, started using holistic treatments from that point. My pain manifests itself mainly in legs and feet, and also along the diaphragm line. I've had a diagnosis of functional neurological disorder, so pain is similar to MS and Parkinson's and varies day to day. 8 most of the time, so 10's high, 0's low, 8, that's a high number. So here we have somebody who spent a large amount of time in their life experiencing pain. And as I mentioned in previous videos, pain is different for different people, and some people can suffer lots of pain and they can manage fine, and other people can't. And there is really no way of quantifying pain other than asking the person themselves. How do they experience it? Which is why I mentioned in a previous video about the book You Pain Free, which I have the link for there. So just go to Amazon and find You Pain Free. I think it's called 6 Keys to Living a Pain-Free Life or something, and it's by Dr. Jonathan Kuchner. I do recommend that book, highly recommend it. It's part of the Mind Body series of books that have been written. There is a connection between the mind and the body. Let's do some astrology. So here we are. This is the birth chart here. Venus very near the ascendant, a Gemini ascendant. So there's somebody that likes a certain amount of change. However, Sun in Taurus doesn't really like too much change. So because this podcast is about Saturn, we need to pay attention to where Saturn was at birth. So Saturn's here in the 10th house. Nice natural home for Saturn. Saturn rules the 10th house. So that's Kushti. And when did this issue start? Now, when I was moving the computer backwards and forwards, I noticed that Saturn started entering the sign of Taurus, because this person is a Taurus, and his name is David, and he said he doesn't mind me sharing that. So this is David we're talking to now. Saturn went into your sign in 1969. I know the issues started that you can remember age 4, which would make it 1971, but from my astrological estimation, I believe you were a little bit younger than that, because this is the first time that an outer planet has made a transit to a major part of your chart, which is your sun sign. So because your Saturn is in the sign before yours, and it travels quite slowly, it takes 30 years to go around the zodiac, this is the first time smack it goes into your own sign. So on your because you were born in 67, so on your second birthday, I don't think life was particularly that fun. So my advice would be to do a regression or to work on that early childhood issue. You'll definitely come to a resolution with that, and to be able to leave it into a state of peacefulness. So Now, I'm going to move the computer forwards month by month, so you'll see why, in your case, David, there was so much suffering for you at such an early age. Now, not everybody's going to be affected by Saturn going into their sign. Saturn's not particularly happy in the sign of Aries. It rules Capricorn, so it's much, much happier being in the sign of Capricorn. But from in astrology, Saturn also is the planet that represents dad, and the moon represents mum. And your mum and dad planets are have got reasonably good aspects to them. So we've got a sextile there. That's the aspect between those two. So I've moved the computer forwards now. We're on your second birthday, but let me show you by moving the computer forwards just a month at a time what Saturn is up to. Okay, it doesn't just go nice and easy through your sign. So we've got a retrograde, and this is in October 69. Okay, so this is Saturn going backwards now, not forwards. Goes all the way back to the beginning, and then it carries on, and then it does another retrograde there. There he is. He's going backwards again. We're now December 1970. And we now get to 1971, which was when you can remember. But look, it doesn't finish its transit because it makes another retrograde here. So this is February 72. And then not only has it gone past your sun sign, it's now about to go over your ascendant. And Saturn going over your ascendant, that's not particularly fun either. So there we go, Saturn over the ascendant now, which is aspecting your Venus. Watch these dates here because I can't watch them. I'm clicking the computer forwards. Saturn is now smack bang on your ascendant. This is March 73. So have a look back in your diary and find out what was going on then. That was, and Saturn definitely isn't happy in the sign of Gemini. Okay. Every Gemini know when Saturn goes into their sign, the two things just really don't have a nice conversation with each other. So Saturn is now going to do another retrograde. We get to the end. So it's gone into Cancer, and we're in November 73, but boomf, there we go, another retrograde back. And Saturn doesn't finish sort of causing all this anguish for you until round about, what are we now, we're June 74, okay? And you've had a lifetime, really, because of the nature of the way that your Saturn was behind your sun sign. So your sun sign comes after your Saturn. So Saturn is always going to be transiting and going around your chart. So it's not to say that you're always going to be under its influence. You need to have a better relationship with it, learn about it, understand it, study it, get a few books on it, and recognize that Saturn is the planet of responsibility, and your main responsibility is yourself. Sun square moon, you need to look after you. Okay, it's really important. And I don't mean be selfish, I mean look after yourself so that you are a healthy bod. Okay, so you're not having episodes. This isn't particularly nice when Saturn goes on to Jupiter. Jupiter's the planet of belief when Saturn makes a transit. So we're in 1975 now. It's a little bit dark night of the soul because this is what you believe in, and you've got I think your Jupiter's in the sign of Cancer. Jupiter's in Cancer, which is the family. So your belief is about families. You've got certain beliefs, and it makes a square to your Mercury as well. Goodness me. Now, the other date that you've given, because I could just carry on going forwards here now, and we'll see that you've had a lifetime under Saturn because you've got a splash chart. All your planets are around the circle every now and again. I mean, the next time Saturn makes an aspect is, oopsie, down here. So we're 1979 now. That's not that fun. And then it makes a transit to your Mars, which is 1982. And then it makes a whoopsie, let me go forwards a teeny bit. Okay, we're now at 1984. It's aspecting your natal Neptune. A bit of a break here now. Saturn's not aspecting anything because that part of your chart's empty. But I don't expect it was that fun either when Saturn got up to your moon. So let's go forwards in time. I have to jump a bit. Let's get up to your moon. Okay, so we're now 1991 and Saturn's going to transit past your moon. Now, Saturn's not that unhappy in Aquarius because back in the day, the planet that looked after Aquarius was Saturn. Aquarius now has an affinity to Uranus since they discovered it, so to move things around. But it might have been good, it might have been bad, but that's the sort of the mother planet and the emotions and stuff, and Saturn is making a transit. But since you've already got a challenging aspect between your sun sign and your moon sign, I don't expect that 91 was that fantastic either. Okay, so then there's retrogrades there. All the planets go retrograde. And it's right smack bang on your moon now, 8th. So we're August 92. Now, the other date that you've mentioned is December 2014. So this was, you escaped the domestic violence and started using holistic treatments. So I was thinking, crikey, I wonder what was going on in December 2014. Let's go to 2014, so we'll shoot forwards now. Whatever was going on 2014, and we'll go to the 1st of December 2014. Bing, bing, bing. Saturn is now transiting through the sign of Sagittarius. This section of the chart here is to do close relationships and marriage. You don't have any planets in there, so that's not an enormous issue for you. Your sun sign's in the 11th house. You feel better working in groups with other people, maybe living in a commune, that type of idea, but having a group of people together rather than cozy domesticity and, sort of sitting with the slippers in front of the log fire. You don't have any planets in the 7th, yeah? You've got planets in the 5th. This is about romance and stuff, but Saturn is now transiting through that segment of your chart. So yes, these are close personal relationships here, challenging, because not only is it transiting through your 7th, but it's directly opposite your ascendant. So if we're going to give an explanation for why that was, Saturn's now making that transit. Okay, so let's get to today. We're 2017 and we're August the something or other. Gosh, I don't know what the date is today. 17th. Let's go to today, 17th of August. How are things now? 17th of August 2017. Saturn's still going to have a bit more of a transit to the end of this year. What you have got coming up is Uranus going to go into your sign. Now, the other outer planets down here, Pluto and Uranus. Don't forget this video is about Saturn. But Pluto's over here. You don't have any planets in that segmented chart there. You don't have any planets up here. So these are the outer planets now that were down here, here and here when you were born. They were right up here. Uranus is going to have a 5-year transit through your sun sign. Okay, you've got Sun in the 11th, that's a nice placement for the Sun to be. Uranus is the planet that looks after the 11th house. But the next 5 years, you're going to want to be free of. Now, it's not free of relationships, but you want to be free of the pain, the agony, the suffering. And I believe, in my professional opinion, that Uranus will assist that. It doesn't start till next year, unfortunately. So you've got a little bit of time to wait. So Uranus is over here, yeah. We're starting sort of around about April next year. You've got a 5-year transit for that. So if I were you, I'd be spending the next 5 years from now even freeing yourself from this pain, reading up on it, understanding the relationship between the unfortunate placement of your natal Saturn. Not everybody's going to suffer with that natal placement, but it's this here, the Sun and the Moon square. Autoimmune diseases, a susceptibility to that. So learning how to look after yourself. And I don't mean, when people ask me, what does it mean when you look after yourself? I mean, obviously it'd be a risky thing to skydive, if you've got Sun, Moon square, or to do anything that would put yourself at risk. So not put yourself in risky personal, emotional or physical situations. Yeah. Now, I mentioned earlier about Chiron, so I have another. Let me click this one. So this again is your birth chart. Here are your planets all the way around the circle here. This is the date here, 1st of May 71, where the trauma started within the family. There's your natal Chiron. And when we get to that date, Chiron is now aspecting and conjunct your natal Saturn. So Chiron is the wounded healer. It's a planet of wounding, and it makes the first transit that your natal Chiron can ever make is to your natal Saturn. which has a knock-on effect to your moon, but moon's how you feel. So there were a couple of planets that were that you might need to get a grasp on. So I would recommend a little look at Chiron too, but ostensibly it's Saturn that you need to have the better relationship with, which is doable. So you read up on it. Liz Green's written a book, Saturn the Old Devil, I think it's called, something like that. But yeah, just study it a bit, learn to accept that there are certain responsibilities that you have to have in your life, but the major one for yourself is to look after yourself, sun moon square. So that's hope that's helpful. Flower essences, I would definitely recommend gentian for the sun in Taurus and vervain for moon in Aquarius, because those two things are square to each other. So my astrological batch flower remedy prescription would be gentian, and let me double check it's vervain. I think it is. Vervain is, oh no, beg your pardon, that's Leo. Gentian is definitely Taurus. Am I right there? Taurus. Mary, what are you looking at? Taurus is gentian, and moon in Aquarius is water violet. Yep. So those would be the two flower essences, 2 drops every day in water for a week, and you'll get a better understanding of your feelings and you'll be able to express them more healthfully. So I hope that's helped. This, as I say, is episode 4 of a series of podcasts on not podcasts, beg your pardon, videos on Saturn and pain and the astrology of that. So these are just a few examples of people's charts. Thank you very much for your volunteering, David. Really appreciate it. I hope you've benefited from it, and bye bye for now.